Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today is a super fast salad. I'm really exhausted, very sleepy. So I've got oranges, fresh clementines, and kiwi. Nothing else. Just only two fruits. This is not really citrusin. I'm not using anything sweet. Only cayenne, some sesame, uh, some balsamic vinegar, salt, pepper. I think I'll skip oregano, and obviously black salt. So you know the rules. When you are here, please come say hi. So I know you've joined in. We can chat more. Hone knife, hone knife. They say no honing your skill. Have you heard of this phrase? Honing your skill. That's where it comes from. So you don't have to apply sharp. You don't have to really push the steel and basically you don't have to take away more steel. The metal can still remain, but the alignment will sharpen it up. Hang on just a second. I hope the stream is working fine and it is streaming well. I'll just check. Okay, looks like it is all working fine. Kiwis and clementines too. So yesterday, the kiwi and clementine had pomegranate in it, anar, and that will make a difference. There is not just texture; there's a lot of flavor that comes from the pomegranate. So, but today there is no pomegranate to serve the day. Only these two heroes, and I'll put them into the freezer to chill really a lot before I make the cayenne vinaigrette. What is cayenne, you ask? Go to cayenne.in/fm. Cayenne.in/fm. Just go to that link and you'll get a chance to understand. In short, the seeds don't carry anything psychotropic. That's why it's pretty cool and it's fun because the nutritional value is so high and you don't get these nutritional values so easily, okay? This is the jadi booty of the hills. And I often say this, which is why the pharmaceutical industry is obsessed with it, with this plant. So today is actually a graph today, a good graph, if my producer will be so kind as to present it on screen. Have a look at this. Just see this. This is the packaged food industry in India. Are you seeing how it's rising? And if you think about it, if you just pause it, so I saw a film, 1980s, 90s, 1992, I think, if I'm not wrong, of Infosys Canteen. Okay? Sorry, did I lose? Hey man, what's up, bro? Oh, thank you so much. So kind of you. Bye. Looking sharp. Are you talking about my knife or are you talking about me? How are you, man? Wish you a wonderful 2026. Sorry, I just saw your comment here. And I wish for you to get everything you want and more. Because it is all very much within your reach and very much within possibility. One of my new resolutions for this year is this, man. That I am going to follow through with what I believe in. I will not let my belief systems break in between. नहीं मैं थोड़ा हुआ है मेरे साथ पास्ट में. I think it has to do with maturity levels. That I think is what is called mature. So I read about this. Children lack executive function of the brain. Executive function is where you tell the brain, you can talk to the brain and tell the brain, shut up, listen, don't get distracted, focus. This comes from training. We grow up, and this is a lack of theta stage. बहुत interesting part है ये brain psychology का. And I don't think it is too much to do with science. It has more to do with how humans think about ourselves. Let me bring this into perspective. We are dying the moment we are formed. So the stem cell that a mother has, which is the egg, when it is, by the way, the first swimmer, that's not the fellow that gets in. We don't know exactly, but what I have read and what I have heard is where the cell walls of the egg, where they allow this coded fellow to, because they are all carrying passes. So one of their pass will get accepted. God knows how it works, but one goes in, and the moment it goes in, the cellular wall locks in. Okay, it's like a safety mechanism. The entire cellular wall changes, and that part where it has punctured the surface, that's the brain stem. That's where the brain gets formed from. So all the thoughts, and it's crazy, no? Wild, I know. I think you left. I'm assuming you're not here. But anywho, if you're here, just please say you're here so I know you're here. Otherwise, I'm mumbling. But I am telling you this, that the story of the brain is truly remarkable. And that is the reason why there is this word called neural plasticity. I'll tell you. Have you heard of this word called neural plasticity? It's this concept of how plastic. So the physics meaning of the word plastic is how how much of the original dimensions can be retained by the product after it has been stretched or its dimensions have been changed. This is the idea of plasticity. In the idea of neural plasticity is how much can you change without changing. Did you understand what I'm saying? So the brain, because these neural cells, no, they're called glial cells. That's Merkin Nedigard. That's her name, Dr. Merkin Nedigard. She's a Danish scientist or a Dutch scientist, I'm not sure, neurosurgeon. And she came up with this idea. Oh, if you're here, if anybody's here, please come say hi. Then I will tell you the story about how they figured out what deep sleep really is. What does it do in deep sleep? Okay, actually, I can share this with you because I think I can publish this video. But while the pieces are getting frozen, really chilled out, and I'm making this salad dressing. Listen to this. So what's happening is, so you heard of the delta waves. You heard of this delta stage, deep sleep stage, N3 stage. For now, forget about the stages. Just remember what's happening in this stage. So the brain's frequencies are now, it's a very low frequencies. In fact, all human brains are around 3 hertz, but the amplitudes are very high. Okay, so there is a lot of electrical conductivity happening in the brain. Now, what she demonstrated in rats was that we've got a fluid inside our brain. It's called the CSF, a cerebrospinal fluid. If you've seen Dr. House, Gregory House, that show, he loves to take out from the lumbar puncture that transparent fluid. That's our engine oil. That's the fluid in which the entire central nervous system is floating. In fact, if you remove this fluid, the 1700 grams of the brain will come down to about 50-60 grams. Speculated, we don't even know, because you can't really take it all out. But what's important is that this CSF is like a liquid. It follows the physics of fluid motion, fluid in motion, fluid dynamics. Now the brain is packed usually, and there is no space for the CSF to move. But when you go into a deep sleep, something strange happens. It's timed to our pulse rate, and the fat cells, the glial cells inside our brain, they shrink and then they expand. It's nanometer level movements. But that physics, that differentiation in pressure, it causes the CSF to start moving. And like a water that is moving around to clean up, because these are perivascular spaces inside, they're folds, okay? They're fats of the brain. I hope I'm not confusing you. So we'll go top down. You've got fats of the brain and you've got CSF between them. That's the fluid in between them. It's tightly packed, nothing's moving. But now you're in your deep sleep, 3 hertz, large amplitude brain waves. And the fat cells are now going to move. So as they move, they create gaps, and the CSF comes rushing inside these gaps and cleans out all these proteins that are stuck. They're called beta amyloids, tau proteins. These are the guys who are causing blockages, because then they have to be put into through the blood-brain barrier into blood. Blood doesn't go inside these perivascular spaces. So that's the beautiful design. So when you sleep, this is what is happening, and that's why those beta amyloids and all that sewage gunk is getting collected and being passed over, because the blood is the lymphatic system. That's the sewage system. But in the brain, the blood doesn't go. So how do you clean the brain? So Dr. Merkin Nedigard, she came up with this phrase called glymphatic system with a G, glymphatic. because of the glial cells involved. Go look it up if you don't believe me. I'm not the one who came up with this, but it's amazing science. It's actually the establishing science why sleep is important. Now, here is the really awesome thing about it. They try to induce delta stage into humans through various mechanisms. None of them worked. It's something to do, it's like a function that gets evoked only when the brain wants to switch it on. So you can't, unfortunately, you can't be put into deep. So you can't force yourself to. It's not like a vacuum cleaner. You switch it on and it starts vacuuming. It doesn't work that way. So there is a whole. What you do during your wake cycle is what decides the sleep cycle. Then what happens in the sleep cycles decides your wake cycles. So it's a very, very interesting pattern-based yin yang balanced. That's why everything yoga, shoga, they all talk about balance. Nobody says go to extreme. All extremes are bad when it comes to humanity, or at least human health. Okay, so let's get started. I get carried away. I'm not a doctor, okay, but when I got access to this knowledge, I was just blown. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, I think more people need to know this. Why don't more people know this? How is it that this information? I mean, we are teaching kids about radio telescopes, optics, stuff that Galileo came up with 300 years ago. But isn't this something more pertinent? You're teaching someone Pythagoras and trigonometry. Where is this child going to use trigonometry? Even if he's an architect, he's never going to use it. Or she is never going to use it. The need for mathematics is, I think, over almost. Fair? So, this knowledge of how human brains behave while the light is on, while the light is not on, it's fascinating. And what another thing that's fascinating is that the speed at which I'm going through salt. I've finished off almost 200 grams of salt. And that's because I burnt my fingers. Were you there? Did you get a chance to see that? Of course you weren't there. I was not live streaming at that time. No, I can't tell you what I was doing. I can only show you. But that'll have to wait. I'm a one-person piece of force that's taking things a little slower. Plus, I'm traveling next month, so I've got to prep for that. My customers depend on me for their top food, so I've got a plan for that. These are the chopped 2 fruits only, okay? Today's only 2 fruits. And we will now put our kaiban and mix this. This is just salt, pepper, and black salt. That's it. And I'll add sesame, but I don't have sesame ups here, so we will have to live without it. I'm telling you, fresh kaiban tastes so good, just with salt. Amazing flavor. That's it. See, I didn't chop this fellow. This guy's big pieces. This could have landed my flavors. I could have crashed my flavors. And imagine how my tongue caught it. I'm not saying I'm a hero. All of us can do it. I was eating so many different flavors, but my tongue could spot this and said, no, hold on. You're not going in. You're not being crushed. Wait. Step on the side. We've got such filtering mechanisms all over our body. It's remarkable. So all these new diseases, cancer that they're talking about, they're not diseases. At risk of getting my channel probably checked out. I hope not banned. These are not diseases. These are subscription services. Pause and think about that. Subscribe to good food, good ideas, the best food between our ears, good thoughts. I'll see you again tomorrow, 12:30, with a brand new salad. So, in fact, good time to give you an update. No salads for the next couple of days. Yep, I have to do some work on the rooftop. regarding carpentry and the stands. So you'll get a chance to see some sun work in the sun. I hope I can beam this at 12:30, but I have to still carry on my work. If it's not beaming and something's wrong, I'll just skip through the live stream. But Friday's live stream, tomorrow's Tuesday, so there could be Kaiben live stream. I'll see. Just stay with me, and if you have questions, ask me. Otherwise, I'll see you soon. Stay subscribed to the channel so then you will know when I go live. See you, bye.